okay, YouTube says that we're live, but then it also says, okay, no, I think we're live. Yep. Yeah, we're good. We are live. Sweet. Oh, my goodness.
You sound good.
What a day.
I'm just waiting to hear myself talk, but okay.
What's up, Victor? Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, Gorilla.
Oh, dude. So much to talk about.
I know we got quite a bit to talk about. We got Buffy the Fantastic Slayer.
Bro, that'd be an awesome movie.
That would be so
dude,
great.
I would pay money. I'd like day one. Let's go.
Well, you got to set it in Jurassic Park, though.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah.
That would be a unique interpretation on all three.
Well, it would be.
Properties.
It would be way more interesting. That's for sure. Obviously I don't know where you're at with all of it. I just it looks peak. I mean, from like the cinematography is pretty good. I have all right. Where do we want to start? Are we just jumping into this?
Well, let's just jump in deep in. It's as far as with Jurassic Park.
Let's start with Jurassic Park.
Out of all of them, it's the one I'm most intrigued to see. Say that, and I didn't think I would be saying that. I didn't think I would be saying because when Jurassic Park Rebirth got announced, I'm like, man, they're gonna freaking keep mining that thing and squeezing that until it, turns to ash.
I'll tell you my biggest problem with it.
Okay.
So it's a couple things. So there's been announcements, I guess, like people have been reporting on what's been said about Rebirth, right? Sorry, it's really hard to keep up with the Jurassic names now. I wasn't even sure. I was like, is it Jurassic Park Rebirth? Or and they're sticking with Jurassic World.
Jurassic Park regurgitation.
Yeah, this is the 7th, Jurassic Park movie. I never saw the last one in the Chris Pratt trilogy because the second one is so bad. Like it's
I can't remember if
I
did or didn't.
And the second one's so shockingly bad.
I think we did. Didn't we review it on our?
I don't remember. We talked about the third one, but I don't think we ever reviewed it.
Okay.
But
yeah, the second one was atrocious.
Here's kind of where I'm at. With just what we've seen so far. This Gareth Edwards, competent director. The movie, I think, probably has the potential to be all right. I am unbelievably sick of going to see movies where people are in these dire situations and just cracking jokes about being in literally they're being hunted by mutated dinosaurs and this is part of the the
Marvel hangover.
No, well, yes, but what I'm trying to get at is that some of the news that's been coming out about it is they want to get back to sort of the scarier elements of it and stuff from the first couple, especially those first two movies. I mean, no matter what you think of the second movie, there's some pretty brutal deaths in it, and just some stuff especially for a PG-13 movie. And so they're going for that, and then you watch this. I can't remember the exact thing that Scarlett Johansson says that made my eyes physically roll into the back of my head. But it's towards the end of the trailer. Yeah. I think I may have to look it up because I
can't remember now as you say it.
I was just nah, I should have written it down. I'm sorry, guys. I should have written it down. But it's, she's got the snarky...
Come on, control room, help us out.
She's got the snarky attitude thing going on, which is just... It's so pervasive in everything these days. And okay, look, if I'm going to set aside to the fact that it's set in modern times, for some reason, there's this They at least believe. And to be fair, the movie's not out yet, so there could be sort of like a bait and switch where it's like they think they're going to do this, but there's really another reason that they're going to get the DNA for all of these dinosaurs. Totally fine if that's a plot point, but it's a really weird situation regardless, where it's like, we need you to go in because there's basically this miracle drug on the island, and y'all are the only people that can do this, and we're not going to put like the entire power of like everything behind you in order to be able to get this done, to be able to get the DNA for this miracle drug. And it's just sort of like, if it's really true, like, why is this the direction? Why are you sending in like this ragtag team? Oh yeah. That's exactly what it was, Gorilla. Thank you. Yeah, she says everything you said. They're getting attacked like on the thing, and it's like, oh, the guy's like saying a bunch of bad stuff, and she goes, everything you just said is bad, and it's like, oh no. Hopefully that doesn't make it into the movie.
Yeah. Hopefully they edit that part out.
I think I do agree with you. Of the two trailers that dropped today, or I guess Fantastic Four was yesterday, but Jurassic, between the two, definitely leaning more towards Jurassic World.
I think I just have that. I just don't care that much about Marvel anymore. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Even if it would have been, if the trailer would have hit like that 28 years later trailer hit, even if that would have happened, I still would have been like, I'm not going to the theater to see it unless David makes me.
Yeah, man. And you're probably going to have, I'm not saying you have to go to the theater, but we're definitely going to talk about it when it comes out. Cause it feels like we're kind of at this is a weird year for superhero movies, because it definitely feels like if they don't succeed, we're done.
Yeah, it does seem that way, with the exception of probably, I would say Matt Reeves' Batman, but even that one may be done because it keeps getting pushed back.
I gotta be honest, man. I am happy to be proven wrong with both. Superman, I feel like I'm slightly more positive as far as like, it's probably going to make good money. They're probably going to keep going. Again, this is more of a,
like the Batman. I don't think it's going to hit $1 billion.
I don't,
but I think it'll do like, it's going to be in that middle ground. I feel like to where Matt Reeves the Batman did what, 750 or 800.
Yeah, it was somewhere.
So that was
all
range. Right for what they needed. That was all right. Like, okay, just enough to where you couldn't cancel it, but you didn't really want to move forward with it, but you kind of had to. Type of deal.
Well, yeah, it was enough for them to green light it, but it wasn't enough for them to like push it through. Because I mean, that movie came out in 2021, and
I think so.
It's going to be 5 or 6 years before we finally get the sequel. Like that's, dude, and like Batman's popular. It's like Batman and Spider-Man are typically the two big money makers as far as. And
that's what I think Superman's going to do. Now, I could end up being wrong, but I think Superman's going to end up doing like, somewhere between 700 and 800. Now, I say that, and it's possible that they get saved by overseas, and they do bad in the U.S., but they do great overseas.
Yeah,
that's been happening quite a bit, to where movies underperform here, but they kill in China and elsewhere.
Jurassic World, I think, is a pretty big example of that, because I saw a couple.
Fast and Furious franchise is a good example of that. At least the last few movies.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is just my gut for the most part, but I'll call it an educated gut feeling. Fantastic Four feels like if they don't nail this and everyone's really lackluster about it, which I think is what might happen. I don't have any faith in Marvel. Like, if put aside sort of the fatigue, whatever, trying to look at it like, I mean, you have to look at everything that's come before. It's been a series of misfires to failures. Deadpool and Wolverine
would be an
exception. And then Fantastic Four is now coming out.
I could have put that movie out in my backyard and it still would have done $1 billion.
We'll have to see. The trailer there's things I like about it, but there's things that are kind of the way that I was describing it to people when I just kind of talking to them is like it feels off, and it. Listen, I work. I mean, you do too. I work around a lot of people that are the target audience for this kind of stuff, and I haven't heard anybody mention it. Like when Deadpool and Wolverine was like kind of coming around, people were getting kind of they were getting excited about it. But there's something about this, like the trailer itself. Like it's not.
Did you feel it was missing soul? Do you think that it's too late to where like all the excitement's drowned out? With this being like the third reboot of the franchise, third or fourth.
So yeah, this definitely, and this is partially from stuff that I've heard, but like Fantastic Four, it's sort of like a sneaky reboot. Is what they're trying to go for. Like they're gonna keep some of the stuff from the past, but it seems like they're trying to like push all of that away. I think they should. I mean, again, this is what we talk about all the time. I feel the same way about Jurassic Park, and this. Not so much Buffy, but we'll get to that in a little bit. It's a situation where it's like you should have just been like, and they should have done this after Endgame, right? But say we're, especially because they've really, there is a sour taste in the mouth of a lot of people towards Marvel at this point. DC to a degree, but like Marvel was the big dog for so long. And then they just wasted all of that potential over the last couple of years. Actually, more than that now, right? Because Endgame was what, 2018? And No Way Home, right? Let's say No Way Home was the end for that.
That's crazy.
So
in what?
3 years?
It came in 28. Yeah, so
when No Way
3 years, it's going to be
No Way Home
10 years old.
No Way Home was 21, 22, somewhere in there. But there's something about all of it that's just like, please just...
Endgame was 2019, sorry.
It was 19? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why I thought it was 18.
And No Way Home was 21.
21, okay. That makes sense. No Way Home was like almost $2 billion, right? It was like 1.8, something like that.
Yeah, it did crazy.
Or it did, yeah. It was an insane amount of money. And so, but that was really it. And then there were things that broke even, or made a little bit of money, or that they lied about making money that didn't really make money. Oh, dude. Just a quick side note, because it just came to mind. Do you know who they've targeted to direct this Buffy reboot?
Oh, I can't remember. Remind me.
It's Chloe Zhao, who directed The Eternals.
Oh, that's right. I saw that, and I was going to talk to you about it and forgot.
I was like, because funny enough, and this was not planned.
They saw that movie, and they were like, yep.
Yeah, she's definitely the one to do it. Sheesh. Funny enough, I've been rewatching Buffy.
Do you think they're going to get Plank the star in it?
But we'll get to that. That's a rant and a half.
Gorilla said something that reminded me. He says that the trailer for Fantastic Four was missing emotion, and that reminded me.
Yeah,
there was that part of it, but really for me, there were things within the trailer that didn't seem that they needed to be in the trailer. If I'm sitting there watching a trailer and I'm thinking, and like this is me, why is this in here? It's not telling me anything. Then that's probably a bad sign, because it's not like I'm some type of expert in the subject, right? And so with watching the trailer, it was when what's the dude's name? Oh shoot, his character name, I'm forgetting it. The Thing, what's his actual name? The Ben. That's right. And so he was cooking with the robot, and it's like, oh, you know what? This is missing some garlic, and oh, now better. But it's a teaser trailer, is supposed to be telling me something. It's supposed to be giving me emotion. There's supposed to be things within it that make sense.
Also, his voice is too high. He needs a deeper voice.
Yeah. That's more your field. I don't know. But
it's just like they go. Everyone's been saying like he has this classic. Oh, he's like very comic book accurate, and I'm like, okay, so. Oh gosh, there's so many things. But they're saying like, oh, he's so comic book accurate. And it's like, yeah, but his voice is weird. He's supposed to have like
a. What do you think of the casting for this movie?
Listen, it's no surprise to anyone who listens to us regularly that I mean, I don't think either of us are massive fans of Pedro Pascal. Like, especially at this point, it's just like, bro, why are you into like? What is the obsession? He's all right, but like, he is like, I swear, dude. I mean, I think he's got better acting range than Zendaya does, but as far as them like constantly shoving him into everything, he is 100% the male Zendaya. Like it's,
I feel with not quite as strongly with Pedro about like George Clooney or Tom Cruise, but he's getting to that level. I although I don't have the same visceral reaction, but he is. It seems like they're trying to, because allegedly George Clooney is a CIA agent, so maybe Pedro is. But allegedly. Allegedly. But it does seem like with word on the street. My sources, no, I'm joking. But it does seem like with Pedro that they're really trying to force the hand with him, and I think he's a fine actor. I don't think he's terrible or anything like that, but he doesn't seem like he's being cast in like the right roles for him. Like, why is he being cast as Reed Richards in Fantastic Four? I'm not a comic book, like as far as the Marvel aficionado, but even I know, well, that's a miscast. And then like even with Sue Storm, she seems a bit miscast because isn't she supposed to be younger?
Sue?
No offense to that. Yeah.
I mean, I think Vanessa Kirby's fine. I mean,
Okay.
She's Sue Storm. The biggest thing about her is that she needs to be pretty, and Vanessa Kirby's pretty, and that works. And at this point, it's like, I think that's fine. I think Johnny's fine. I think the biggest thing with them and the way this movie, the script needs to be tight and the acting needs to be on point.
Yeah.
Because they're what's going to drive this movie. Now, in the kind of the same way that like with Guardians, the cast in that needed to nail it in order for that movie to work. And they did.
Right.
Because yeah, there's like some action in it. But if the characters were just like planks of wood, it never would have got anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know if it's technically an ensemble, but it is about the four of them. And the chemistry needs to work, and the script.
I do think they brought that home in the teaser, though, that the family aspect of the four of them. Which I mean, if they go that direction, that route, I like that. But
Victor, I will answer your question about Buffy because that is kind of a long answer, and then I will answer that Final Destination Bloodlines trailer. Not a huge fan of those movies. I think I've found it more interesting to hear other people talk about them than I've ever found interest in watching them. And two, obviously, as a millennial, and the scene with the Joseph, I know you know what I'm talking about, with the log truck has literally terrified a generation of people from ever driving behind a log truck. People love those movies. As far as like the horror, like my taste in horror movies, it's not really my thing. And again, I'm just over sequel slop. I'm tired of reboots. I'm sure it will be fine, and it will probably do well because I assume it'll be on like a pretty cheap budget, like they usually are, and maybe it's been enough time that there'll be enough hype around it. Joseph doesn't like that stuff. That one's not really my cup of tea. And the trailer looks more Final Destination. So that's all I gotta say about that. Sorry, Joseph. Fantastic Four. Where were we at?
We're talking about the casting.
The casting. So
we were getting to Ben and talking about his
Ben
casting.
Grimm. I don't know, man. I need to see more of it, and I do think his voice is too high, and they're not going to change it now. So
like this.
He needs to, yeah. If you go back and watch like some of the old cartoons, and even at least the 2005, I think the first one came out that back when Jessica Alba was in it.
It's funny that you mentioned. Go ahead, though. Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of that deeper voice. Now, and Fantastic Four is not my area as far as comics are concerned. I've never. When I was a kid, I thought Johnny Storm was cool. And that's about as deep as it ever went. I was like, oh, cool. The guy that lights on fire and flies around. Like, that's pretty cool. But I was never. People who love Fantastic Four love Fantastic Four. Doom is an awesome character, but he's not. I mean, if he's in this, I'm pretty sure they're just going to do sort of a teaser type thing.
Yeah.
We'll see.
What do you think about, what'd you think about back in the day? Speaking of Jessica Alba, of that Shield actor playing Ben. What's his name?
Michael Chiklis. Yeah. I don't remember enough about it. I never.
Kind of looks like the character as far as like stature.
Yeah, I never really cared for those movies.
Do you think they did a good job on the casting though?
Back then?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Those movies never were never highly regarded, you know?
Yeah.
They were always kind of that middle tier.
Neither one were.
No.
I can't believe that other reboot came out in 2015. I'm like, wow,
it's very bad too.
I've never seen it.
I watched it on streaming years ago. We both might have still been in college at the time.
I'm looking at some stills from it. I'm just laughing.
Yeah, it was a weird one. Very miscast across the board. Just kind of an odd.
Michael B. Jordan play?
He played Johnny Storm.
Fireman?
Yeah.
That's like all. I don't even know Fireman.
Very, very odd. An odd one. Just
Miles Teller as Reed Richards.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Fan Four Stick. That's right. That's what everybody calls it.
That's almost as bad as what's that? Zack Snyder. Oh, him casting Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Dude, what were you thinking, man?
I don't know. I mean,
it seems like the only one who was properly cast in this was Sue Storm, and even then, I don't know if this actress has that Sue Storm look to me. But what do I know? Yeah. I don't really know I don't know the comics at all.
I think she'll be all right. Like I said, I think at this point with that movie
from 2015. Sorry.
Oh,
not the one.
Yeah, she's a cute actress, but like none of them look. It didn't work, obviously, and the script was terrible. It just, I'm pretty sure Michael B. Jordan like really regrets being in that, but at least him and Miles Teller, it didn't hurt their career. So it's, it is what it is at this point. It's kind of lost to history, and the guy that directed it has always stated that there's a cut of that movie out there that's significantly better. Air. Air. No, Air did Suicide Squad. Who? Maybe the trailer.
Release Batgirl. Yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need Trump to sign the executive order.
Batgirl, the Air cut, and I want to see the Fan Four Stick cut as well. I would just history, lost history, man.
We have to make a deal. If we get some kind of in some kind of situation where we get to meet the president,
be like, look,
whoever the president is, when we get to meet him, we just gotta try and push them to be like, hey, listen, you need to release Batgirl.
Please make them release the Batgirl.
That's the movie I'm probably most intrigued to see. The one that got canceled by the CEO. The CEO watched that movie and was like,
But nah,
"Nope,
yeah.
we'll eat it.
Which is weird, man.
We'll take the tax revenue, the tax write off on it."
I don't know. I'm really still very much in a place with a lot of. I mean, we just keep getting all these announcements every time, dude. That I get on X, I just keep seeing things that make me groan. You know,
stop getting on X and get on Facebook.
Oh, dude, it's even worse on there, man. Everybody just uses that as their personal blog. I mean, X is getting pretty bad about that too. Is like people writing like, giant paragraphs about stuff, and I'm like, guys, I don't want to read this. let's cut it down to your, let's get it. Sometimes it's all right. Like we'll get to it because it's actually one of the big topics for tonight, but it has its purposes, I guess. But he didn't even write that on there. He wrote it on something else, took a picture of it, and then like posted it on X. But it was really well stated, and he got. I can't even say attacked because it's like it was such a pathetic. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. The Terrifier director got some heat for saying something completely normal.
By the way, I watched what's that show on that Western on?
Primeval. Yeah, Primeval. Nah.
Yeah.
Just kind of whatever.
Definitely. Yeah, you were right. It wasn't because you were sick.
My instincts might have been right about that. Okay.
Yes. It was kind of like how my instincts when I watched what's the show on Apple TV? Silo. I really wanted to like that show. I really wanted to like the show because I think the idea and the premise behind it is fascinating.
Yeah.
And I like the actress. She's actually one of my favorite actresses. But man, like I thought when I first watched it, obviously we don't have to rehash it, but I was sick. I was like, okay, let me go back to it. And after I got better, maybe I just didn't like it because I was sick. Nope, my instincts were right. Extremely boring.
I am gonna go see. Okay, so you remember the sort of like punk rock goth chick from Yellow Jackets?
Yes.
So she's in a movie that just came out called Companion.
Yes.
And it's getting pretty good reviews.
I know what you're talking about too.
People seem to be pretty happy with it, and I think I'm going to try to go see it on Friday. I was going to go this past weekend, but I slept like all day Saturday to try to like catch up on like rest. So I did not do that. But I think I am going to try to go see that maybe on Friday. Try to maybe catch like an early showing because I am really curious now. And I want to get it's the beginning of the year. Let's go. Let's see some stuff.
Is this a horror movie?
I would
thriller.
I think it would probably fall under the thriller category. I don't want to say too much.
Gotcha.
Mostly, it's kind of for your sake, but also because Chris Gore mentioned that if you don't know anything about it, don't watch the trailer. If you're interested in seeing it, just go see it or wait until you get the opportunity to watch it and just try to stay away from stuff because the trailers are really, they spoil a lot. So I'm curious what he means by that because I did see the first trailer they put out. So I'm not sure if I'm like missing context for what he's talking about or not. So I was like, okay, still going to go see it. I was like, even if I got a little bit spoiled, like that shouldn't really like affect my ultimate like feelings about the movie. Because there's a lot more to it than the surprise, right? Like if the surprise is all you have going for you, it's kind of a cool experience, but then rewatches are pointless. Like if that's the thing that you're kind of like hoping for people to really like get. So yeah, I like
see this weekend.
Yeah, no,
Love Hurts.
Oh, you're gonna go see it? Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Well,
it is.
Let's be honest. I'm probably not gonna get to see it because my theater here probably won't have it. But
there's ways. There's always ways.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It looks cool. I mean, yeah, it looks cool. I mean, probably like a schlocky romantic action movie or whatever.
Yeah. And then we got you're gonna watch Companion, and then the next weekend is we have two movies actually. On the 11th of next week, the Witcher anime movie comes out.
We'll definitely
animation
watch that.
movie. Is that an anime movie or just a 2D?
I think it's just animated. It technically, right? If it's anime, it has to be from Japan.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's just an animation movie, and then we got Black Winter Soldier and Falcon.
On the 15th. Yeah. I have been going back and forth because I know you're not going to go see it in theater.
We don't have anything else. No, my theater will probably have that one.
Yeah.
So we might as well just bite the bullet. Literally.
That just feels like absolute torture.
We got to do it for the content. What else are we going to review?
I know.
I guess we could review Witcher.
Yeah, we probably we'll just do that. Well, we probably need to do both because Witcher has always been good for us. Because everyone, you get two groups of people. You have the group of people who come in and they're like, yeah, like you're right. Like it's weird that they do these things and it doesn't make sense. And then you have the other people come in and go, actually, in the books, Ciri is the main character, and you're just like, please go away.
Yeah.
Man, it's so funny to think back on that first review that we did for The Witcher. Yes. And all of those people. Dude,
we didn't even trash it. We were saying like it's pretty good. It has some, potential, and people were not mad.
They were so mad because I spoiled what happens to Geralt at the end of the books. Yeah. And I'm like, y'all, those books are so old, and they talk about it in all of the video games. In every single one of them, it's mentioned constantly. So it's not my fault that you're not paying attention. Like, holy moly. But yeah. There's some stuff coming. Eventually, we'll get around to finally doing Rohirrim. We just got to wait for a slow week, and I have to actually sit down and try to sit through that. Oh man. As I get older, my ability to be okay with things wasting my time gets shorter.
Yeah.
And with some of this stuff that's been coming out recently, and I think it's why I'm just like so annoyed by everything that we see, because it's like, y'all aren't convincing me at all that I should spend my time on any of this. It's like we were talking about with that Alien Earth trailer. It's like, I don't know.
What kind of teaser was that?
Dude.
Oh man, but that 28 years later trailer.
28 years later, and I'll tell you, it's two things. It goes back to what I was saying about Jurassic Park, where it's like Jurassic Park just doesn't. It's not taking itself seriously. It seems like they're trying to convince you that's the case. And again, I got to see the movie. Maybe it's just a bad I won't say a bad trailer, but I was like, maybe the trailer is just tonally off. Maybe that's ultimately what it is. And then like we get into it and it's like, oh, this is not what I expected, That'd be a nice surprise. But the thing that works about that 28 years later trailer is that the movie does take itself seriously. You understand that there's a threat. It gives you a eerie feeling like watching it, and you're like, I kind of know what I'm getting into, and I'm into this. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And then you watch and it's not as egregious, obviously, in the Jurassic World trailer. I'll try to be like, I'll try not to go too.
You're coming down hard on Jurassic.
It's because it's
like you're like me with Marvel.
The last two movies have not been good. Like, this is the thing, is like, we talk about it all the time. I do not.
I mean, you're right.
I don't owe them anything, right?
Although that one scene with the chick getting like tossed into the air by the pterodactyl, and then
in the first World movie.
Yeah, that part. One, man. There's been like 100 at this time.
Yeah, it's like cruel.
We know what we really need is a Jurassic Park, King Kong, and Godzilla crossover. No. Just like merge them all together, and then let's get Transformers in there too.
The biggest thing though, it's like
it's all the like subpar like Hollywood blockbuster franchises.
Yeah. So that trailer,
except for Godzilla -1, that's not included in that. That
is a good movie. Yes, an exception. The trailer
Thou shall not insult Godzilla -1.
The trailer does the Jurassic World trailer. It's like they're just not doing anything new. And I don't want to hear like, well, there's new dinosaurs. It's like, oh yeah, okay. It's like they're constantly trying to like every time they come out, like that's their thing.
But David, it's new AI dinosaurs.
What was that thing? There was something about one of that when they released, maybe it was Jurassic Park Dominion. Oh, I remember what it was. They were there was all these articles going around when Dominion was right before it got released, where they were trying to tell everyone that the main like antagonistic dinosaur in that had like the personality of the Joker.
Oh yeah, that freaking like mutated
whatever
or played with raptor or whatnot.
Yeah, whatever it was, and I was just like. And then when they came out and were like I don't know if it was Gareth Edwards exactly or if it was just the PR team, whatever the case may be, and they're like, oh, the new one that they're doing is a hybrid of a Rancor, an alien, and a T-Rex. And I was like, great. What? Okay. Awesome. Like, what? Like, what are we doing here? And then, like, everyone's been kind of talking about like the way the trailer looks and like the style of it and even that like dinosaur a little bit. And I'm just kind of like, guys, none of this matters if the script.
Yep.
And
but we won't know that until the movie comes out. Or
until we get like
until we get some actual trailers too.
Yeah.
We won't have a better idea because it all we can go off of is the teasers. That's all we have right now.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right. It can't follow the same formulaic responses. I mean, I guess what would make me a believer is if the Spinosaurus or whatever the sea dinosaur is, if she just puts her hand out and says, whoa.
It just starts talking.
And to get them to stop attacking like Chris Pratt did to the Raptors.
Hey, leave us alone. Scarlett Johansson's okay.
That's all you got to do to stop a dinosaur.
But then, like,
whoa.
I don't... now, like, it's just like the staple of these Jurassic movies where, like, Mahershala Ali is the one in the trailer, but the flare in the dark and it lights him up or whatever. It's like, we're doing this again? It's like, I just...
You're just disinterested in it, and I get it. It's the last trilogy didn't really bring you home, but I know supposedly the director said that they're going to focus more, as you already mentioned, on the more kind of horror elements of it, or and specifically having a lot more people dying. And I will say this:
maybe
if I'm going to sit through and I'm seeing a lot of people get eaten by dinosaurs, that could probably make up for some of this.
It goes back to it though, where it's like if I go, it's got to hit emotionally too. Like you need to set up the characters. You're gonna have. I mean, the movie's probably gonna be about 2 hours. You got to set up your characters.
Oh no, bro!
You have to.
Like 3.
Really?
Yeah, dude, 2.5 easy. They're easily gonna do 2.5.
Okay. Regardless, set up your characters. Get me invested in what they're doing. Do your best to not make it goofy slop like they've been doing. Just try to make it make sense. Just try to make that's at this point like try, and then when characters are getting killed off, please have the other actors show the emotional like resonance of these things happening, and it not be something that doesn't affect them in any way.
Yeah, that's tonally off.
Because it's just there's so much of that happens where movies nowadays, like people die and the characters just don't seem to care.
Yep.
And I'm just tired. I'm just tired of it. I say what you will about that scene from Godzilla -1 with the love interest, but at least the main actor acted appropriately for what was going on. Like if you're in these horrific situations, the characters should probably try to act appropriately for what's going on. I've never understood like the actual direction behind things like that, where it's not the case and how it doesn't affect your character, because it's not just a in the moment thing. Like that kind of stuff needs to have like subtle hints of it still affecting your characters through the entire script, whether they survive to the end or not. And you don't always get that. And it's also something that if you make sequels, you don't just reset. Like the characters from the previous one, there needs to still be some kind of effect of that. It's also one of the things that's always annoyed me about sequels, where someone goes through a traumatic situation like that, and then someone goes, we have to go back and do it again. And they go, I don't really want to. And then a minute later, they're like, okay, I'll go. Yeah. I'm like,
you
sure, I guess. You know what's funny is one of the worst offenders of that was 24 back in the day. The TV show. I got through like a few seasons of it. Like it was huge at the time, right?
That used to be a big TV show.
I think Netflix had it for like a while.
I've never seen one episode of it.
Can't really recommend it at this point. I think if I remember correctly, the first season's pretty solid. But the problem is that this stuff keeps happening to him, because there's like 6, 7, 8 seasons, something like that, and every season it's another massive incident, and it's like, okay, at some point you just kind of look at it and you go, this is still happening to him.
Who was the evil government agency in there? USA?
I don't remember. It's terror. It's like, because it was like height of like or like post 9/11, so it's like terrorism, and you know, I'm sure I don't remember.
That's what everything was in the early 2000s. Yeah. It's like, how can we make Joker Arab?
And after a while, I just kind of it's very formulaic, you know. And after a while, you're kind of like, I've seen enough of this.
I remember when what's his name? The actor he played the lead character in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Rami Malek.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he said this. Like one of his conditions for playing a Bond villain in the last Bond film was he didn't just want to be the stereotypical, you know, Arab villain. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, and he was good in it. He is a bright spot in what is otherwise a very dour movie. It's funny we keep
some situations
we keep bringing that movie up.
I know. In some situations, I get it. Like with that A24 movie coming out about the Iraq War. Okay, yeah,
sure,
that makes sense.
And we're far enough past that being the prime that it's there. You know, it's not a.
But it's kind of like
a trope.
It's kind of like Nazis at this point in films.
Oh, bro.
Unless it's like a specific, you know, World War II movie, or like you have Captain America,
one of
the first one. Like there's exceptions for it, but it's at this point, it's like, man, I'm just so tired of seeing the same thing, you know?
Yeah, dude. Well, that's actually a decent segue. Because I was gonna say one of my favorite. It probably falls into the horror camp. But it's also kind of a thriller. It's this movie Green Room, about a group of punk rockers that goes to play a show, and it turns out that it's basically run by skinheads. And it's just kind of a cool, like, they piss off the skinheads, and they're led by Patrick Stewart, you know, from Star Trek fame. He's like the leader of the skinheads, and they basically lock them in the green room, and they can't let them go. It's been a little while since I've seen it. I can't remember exactly why. There's like more to it than like they find something out about what's going on there, and they basically are like trying to decide if they're gonna like kill the band members or whatever, or like how they're going to deal with it. And so it's like their harrowing attempt to get out of the green room alive. It's very good. It's a very good movie. The tension is wonderful. everything about it, like the way that, like I'm saying all the time, the way that characters react to situations that are going on feels very much like they sat and thought, like, okay, like how would we try to get out of this situation? Like, what are the it's like these overwhelming circumstances. Like how do we do this or whatever?
Right.
And just very much adore it. Very small movie. It wouldn't surprise. I can't remember if A24 produced it, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did, because it is. It's just kind of falls into that category for them where they do it. And the reason I bring that up and the transition into our other topic for tonight is that I should pull up these tweets. I have like a whole list of them.
Not Bryce Mitchell's. You probably didn't hear about that. There's this UFC fighter who launched a pretty popular UFC fighter who launched a.
Is that the guy I heard about? And he have someone? He had someone
I'd
on.
like to go
right?
fishing with.
Oh, bro! He had some? Well, he didn't say it, right? He had somebody on, or did he say it?
No, he said it. Yeah.
Oh, bro.
Yeah. Christian too, and everything.
Oh, we'll talk about that next week. Wait, hey, when's the Super Bowl?
I don't even know, bro. I don't even keep up with NFL anymore.
Gotcha. I have a Disney trailer for the Super Bowl that I want to play, but I think we'll save it for next week.
I'll tell you, it's February 9th.
Oh. Well, we'll talk about
Sunday.
it. We can talk about it next week anyway. It'll be more relevant right after the Super Bowl.
What's that?
I think.
The Super Bowl?
Yeah. Disney released a trailer, and it's hilarious. I'll send it to you. It's really funny, dude, because it's so tone deaf.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's completely tone deaf, dude. It's the funniest thing. Okay, yeah. So,
I had to talk to some friends last week about that Bryce Mitchell stuff. I was like, why is this like getting so popular?
It's a weird revisionist thing.
I think
it's people being stupid,
COVID, dude. I think it's because
people sat around and were like, "Oh, Hitler was actually right."
I think what I think it is I think it's a spillover to where so many quote unquote experts and so many people were wrong about COVID, and then all the people who were quote unquote conspiracy theories were right, and one thing leads to the other, and believe, well, what else are they lying about? So then they look into this topic and this topic and this topic. Let's just say one of those topics ended up being, well, they lied about this too, and then it like goes into this, and then it's like, oh, well, now I want to go fishing with Adolf.
Yeah, good old Dolph.
Seems like somebody I want to go fishing with.
Bro, so stupid.
Oh, no history at all, dude. You can read the primary sources for you. This is the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, they're reputable historians. You can read the primary sources for yourself. Like, they're there.
And it's so funny. It's been. Listen, there's definitely some things that are necessary in life. Discernment is one of them. And also like, kind of thinking for yourself. And like one of the things we talk about on here a lot is like defining your terms. Just something we're going to talk about with what happened with the creator of the Terrifier series.
Yes.
Damon, I think it's Leon, but it might be Leone. I don't 100% know.
I think you're right on
Leon. So I was just on X yesterday. 2 days ago, I think. And came across. I've only ever seen the first one. I don't care for the series at all. It is very much like pushing the boundaries of like what you can do with like a slasher movie. It's very much just like blood and guts. Like it's just not. Again, it's not really my thing. Kind of like the more.
You like the more toned down versions, like Twilight.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like more of the not necessarily psychological, but like, you're using the atmosphere and the actors and the writing to really
the tension itself.
Yeah, more so than it's like, oh, he's going around just like blowing kids up or chopping them in half with a chainsaw or whatever. It's kind of like, I get it. It's just not my favorite thing. But this is what he said. He wrote that hopefully I never have to bring up politics publicly ever again, but this desperately needs to be said on behalf of the Terrifier franchise. He says, I want... excuse me, hang on. He says, I want to make a very important statement regarding the Terrifier franchise and this ugly political climate we're living in. As most of you know, some of my cast and crew members have a very passionate political presence on social media with extreme and sometimes harsh opinions, which is their right. I'm all for freedom of speech and expression. That being said, Terrifier is not in any way, shape, or form a political franchise. I did not get into filmmaking to become a politician or promote any political agendas or ideologies, especially through a killer clown movie. I fell in love with horror movies as a form of pure entertainment, and those are the films I like to make. Since Terrifier 1, our cast and crew has and still consists of both Republicans and Democrats, and anyone is welcome to be a part of anyone's welcome to be a part of it regardless of their political affiliation, as long as they're a decent human being. That goes for our fan base as well. If this doesn't sit well with you, with any fans or cast or crew members, that's your right, and I respect it. You don't have to buy a ticket, and you don't have to work on these films. Thank you, and I recommend you don't let toxic rhetoric on either side of the political spectrum deter you from being a Terrifier fan. Thoughts on Nolan Odyssey casting? He's just like casting everybody in that.
I think I sent you something this week where I said you and I were going to get an invite in the mail to be in the movie.
We'll see. Some people are like, well, maybe, they trust Nolan. They know what he's doing. And I'm like,
Zendaya's breakout role.
Oh, yeah. So.
Her ticket to mega stardom now.
Half the people, I say half. A lot of people were like, hey, we appreciate that. Thank you for your very, reasonable statement. Regardless, I mean, like I said before, I'm not a fan of the Terrifier series, but I appreciate that because the guy clearly cares about what he's doing, and that's cool to see. And he's like, I just want to make this, and I want people around me who want to do that, and their opinions and what they want to do outside of what we're doing, that's up to them.
Yep.
And a lot of people are like, yeah, great. And then there's the people that I've begun to refer to as goblins, because it's like it's like they get a whiff of stuff like this and they come out and they go, actually, everything is political. I'm going to read you a couple of the tweets that I saved.
Those comments on our stuff back when
when it was still politics ruins everything.
Politics ruins everything.
Politics is everything. So how you're just like, I've been thinking about it since then, where the statement comes from, because just so that everyone's aware, the argument that never goes anywhere, because I have attempted to ask some of these people. I'm like, okay, first of all, I need, what about this? What is political about this? Also, we have to define terms. So when you say it's political, what I'm thinking is that you are specifically saying that one of the inherent themes of the movie is speaking about something that's political within the realms of the United States or wherever the filmmaker happens to be from. I think that's pretty reasonable. Because if you look up politics online, literally if you just type into any search engine, it's define politics, it's all governmental base. That's what most people think of when you say something like that. And so what that means to me is you're specifically making a commentary about your government, a government, whatever the case may be, right? A lot of them are already off base when they start saying that everything in a lot of them are just saying literally everything is political. I don't know if you know this, Joseph, but when you sit down and take a crap, it's political.
Yeah. Everything.
I don't know if you realize that. You know?
No.
When
the new world we live in.
Yeah. And so what it is it's actually social commentary, right? And I would even say that like what the director, or well, I'll just keep calling him the creator because he probably directed the movies too, but what he's trying to get at is it's just a form of entertainment. Like, we're having fun making these movies. It's like just his vision for what he wanted to do. And he said he's the creator is literally going, it's just a form of pure entertainment. I don't have hidden messaging behind this. It's not the point. And all these people are coming out of the works to be like, no, it's political. You're like, what? You know, it's a very much. Huh?
You know, I think maybe not political, but maybe some things come out in more of the subconscious, and you could say not necessarily political, but maybe without realizing it, could be you, instead of being, having political message, could have a religious message in it. One way or the other.
Well, that's so. I would say
if I remember correctly,
yeah.
One of the things that stood out to me from that movie, that I didn't watch it, but I saw because I think it kind of blew up on social media at the time, was the chick that had the crown of thorns. Now I don't know the context. I don't know if it was supposed to be a Jesus reference or not, but
it's possible. I mean, maybe it, and it's possible that that's a case, right? But again,
right.
That's a social.
But that's not political.
That is sure, and it's more. It is social commentary because it's about the interactions. Like you and I, like a lot of the time, more often than not, especially these days, it's not political commentary, it's social commentary. We're commenting on things that are happening in society. Yep. And that does not all have to be inherently political. Now, is it wrapped up in politics sometimes? Because literally every government in the world wants to be involved in your space and wants to just like be sitting next to you while you're doing everything? Absolutely. Right? So that might be a political comment, like a political statement, whatever the case may be. We make them occasionally. That does not mean that our podcast, especially these days, is inherently political. It is in film, you would probably call it like subtext. And for us, it's just like a little nugget of something that we occasionally do. Because it's kind of impossible not to talk about that stuff. Yeah. But whatever the case may be, like, the director, and it's funny because like we've talked about this in the past, because there's like this concept called death of the author, where sometimes a creative will like, they'll make something and they'll be like, well, this is what it's really about, and a lot of people will just take it for what that person's saying. And so it is okay to be like, well, what about this? Like, does that specific, like, it actually kind of seems that you're trying to say this here, or like, I don't know if you realize it. Like, take I think Barbie is a pretty good recent example of this, where Ken was supposed to sort of be the, not the antagonist, right? But like it's supposed to kind of be a commentary. And it turns out that he's not only the most like sympathetic character in the movie, but he's kind of the hero of the movie in a weird, like kind of a weird turn of events. And everyone started saying that, and they're like, no, that's not really what it is. It's like, okay, but like, let me give you some arguments for why we're saying that this is the case. And that's like what I've asked for from the everything's political crowd, or like horror is inherently political crowd. And I'm like, okay, well, and people have, there were people in the comments before everything. Dude, the guy like locked down the post because it was getting out of hand. But I was trying to be like relatively cordial. I like to troll people on there sometimes, but like I was like, okay, I didn't answer this guy's one, but this is one of the comments on there. It says, I understand not wanting to be outwardly political, but this is a situation where the other side is actually Nazis. I think it's a little wild to not be condemning of that. Even wilder to be hitting these thinly veiled remarks towards some of the cast speaking out is what it looks like. And he's not thinly veiling anything. He's like, some of the people that I work with are very open about how they are politically, and they can do that. Like, what are you talking about, dude? And it's so funny, dude, because these are the same people that will claim that you have no media literacy. Like, the everything is politics people and the you have no media literacy people, they fall almost, I guess you could call it a Venn diagram, but they're pretty much the same people. And it's it's so funny. Let's see. I've got some of the, one person says horror is, always has been, and always will be political. And they put a couple movies in here. Get Out is the only one that you could even say touches that. But I would say you have to define your terms again, and Get Out is a social commentary, not a political commentary.
Yep. Because people are so warped by social media and everything being political that's the filter and lens they view everything through, because everything's polarizing these days.
Yeah. And this is
they can't watch a movie that and ascertain and understand that, hey, this isn't having any type of political message in it.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, this is social commentary.
Now, and it's also because that's the lens that they see everything through. And I even asked, and I've got one other guy, and then I'll read some, like, kind of our back and forth a little bit to you because it's really funny. But it seems to have come from, like, from what I've seen over the last couple of days, a certain, like, sector of movie commentary on YouTube and college/university. It's like, this is what your teachers were telling you, and people listen to that so much, so they're reading into everything. There's, like, a meme that goes around where it's like what the author, like, the author wrote, the curtains are blue. What your teacher believes. Oh, that it's actually a commentary on social this and the oppression of so-and-so and this, this thing and blah, blah, blah. What the author actually meant. The curtains are blue. And so that's the sort of, like, thing where we're at. And this guy, I found this one. And I couldn't help myself. So he says, everything in life is political, all right? So clearly defining everything, okay? Taking a crap, walking down the street, petting your dog, taking a nap, all inherently political. From where we shop and eat to what films we watch, okay? So films are inherently political. Does that sound like a state? Like, that's what he's saying, right? Like, I don't think I'm taking him out of context here. Okay. Not being political is a privilege. Didn't know that. Because it means politics has no impact on your life, right? Horror is inherently left-wing, queer, and from the outcast. The last, well, all of it really, but it's kind of, news to me. And to turn a blind eye is disappointing, right? So I just asked the guy. I was like, all right, how is Green Room queer? What makes it that,
Right.
I said, y'all need to back up your arguments because this really makes you look goofy. And he goes, triggered by the word queer? And a whole post about horror being political, then bringing Green Room is actually really funny. And I was like, well, I'm thinking to myself, right? Like, I didn't talk about the potential politics of Green Room. That's not what I said. I was very curious about a specific statement that you made.
Right.
Do y'all even know what you're watching? Or are things really this hard for you to comprehend, right? So doesn't answer my question. And I just said, who's triggered? Just explain your argument. You brought up Green Room. Is that not a political film to you? Again, he hasn't answered my question. He's just sticking with the politics thing. Didn't ask him about the politics of Green Room. And again, the politics of Green Room are Nazis bad.
Super deep.
That's really about it, right?
I haven't heard that one before.
And he could have told me, he could have easily told me, well, here's the political commentary in Green Room, and it could have been like, okay, cool. I need you to answer the original question. He never does, by the way. I said, you said all horror is political, left-wing, and queer. All is a big word to use because you, and I put you in all caps, are left with the burden of proof, which is the case. Joseph, if I make an argument on here and say you disagree with me, the burden of proof is not on you to prove my point correct. That is on me, right? And I need to do my best to present evidence, both, I would say, objective and subjective to some degree. And then, like we always kind of say, like Fantastic Four, Jurassic World, everything we've been talking about tonight. We're waiting to see the full evidence, but like we're presented with something and we go, here's kind of where we're at right now with that, you know? That's what we always kind of do. And we try to present the evidence, and sometimes people push back on us and we go, okay, well, yeah, that might actually be a good point. Or we're like, nah, you're crazy. So I said, I said, you said all horror is political, left-wing, and queer. All's a big word because you are left with the burden of proof. Green Room could be political, but that's not the most interesting part of your statement. Who taught you that it always has to be political? Doesn't answer that question ever. He said, could be. Honey, the movie is about Nazis. Sorry. How is that not political? But the fact that so many of you assume I meant every single horror movie ever made is queer and political and left-wing, it just means y'all need to go back to school and learn how to analyze a sentence. This is the dude who said everything in life is political.
People, man.
And this is every argument. And I know it's X, I get it, but I was legitimately like, look, you made the statement. I'm just curious of your perspective on this. But I never got it. It was just...
Yeah, people don't like to back up their stuff. They say most of the time, not all the time,
sure,
but most of the time, you know?
And dude, that's why, like, if I get on there, man, it happens a lot with The Last of Us. People come at me about that, and I've got... they're talking points at this point, right? I mean, it's just because it's the same stuff, man. You're going to hear the same arguments over and over again because these are the points that we're hitting home, and no one has counter arguments to them a lot of the time. And so it's just like, look, here's the argument. It's like, you're saying everything is political. I'm basically like, prove it. And it's like, oh, you know what this is like? And I'm sorry, guys, to bring this up because we don't typically talk about this stuff anymore. Joseph, you might remember about 4.5-ish years ago, maybe 4 years ago, there was this thing that has been dubbed the Summer of Love that happened in the United States, where rioting and looting and death and destruction happened across cities in this country. And there was a lot of...
Yeah, I'll go to the Summer of Love.
Yeah. There was a lot of discussion at the time about what was going on. And people would ask questions and be like, okay, sort of seems like you're in support of a lot of the groups that are saying that a lot of this is okay. And when you would ask, like, well, why is that? Like, you know, what's your reasoning behind a lot of this? They would tell you, well, I don't have time to educate you on these things.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
It's very similar. Now, obviously, these are different topics, right? But this is what, when I come up against this, right? Now, personally, but I do think this is probably true, school in general doesn't teach you how to properly argue. And I don't mean this in a way where it breaks down into screaming matches. I mean this in a way like what you and I do occasionally on here, what I attempt to do with people, where it's like, okay, honestly, I don't think I agree with you here. Like, here's kind of where I'm coming at. Like, where are you seeing this? Like, the way that we discuss things and we have discourse. It could be an argument, could define it that way, but it's not something that's breaking into a shouting match, or we're not calling each other's names to trigger each other, or whatever the case may be. It's civil arguments.
Right.
And if you were to come on this show and I had a disagreement with you, and your response was to be, well, David, I don't have time to educate you on this, I would probably lose my mind.
I can't wait till I can use that on you.
Because I know it's going to be a thing now.
Yeah.
I do. That's what we should do with the troll room. I'm sorry, Gorilla. You need to educate yourself on this topic. I don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
In a democracy, everything becomes politicized. It's pretty much inevitable. Well, I need to think about that. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know if everything is a
even if you choose not to vote, that's still a political decision / action.
Well, yeah, specifically voting.
Yeah, but it's not. Fair enough, but that's politics. I mean, it's government related, right? So if not voting is a political action, I don't think I disagree with that. But I don't think the problem with that, and I'm sorry, like, this is a little off topic for us, but like the problem with that is that people get like really pissed off when you don't vote, but it's also your right.
Yep.
And so it's like the biggest problem with a lot of the arguments is like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is where people come from. It's forgive me, I don't know what the exact term is for it, but like to say that, like, oh, you basically have to choose a side, and then it's like not choosing a side is still choosing a side, and it's like not really. And for us, and Joseph, hopefully I can speak for you on this as well. Like the kind of individualism, the aspect of it, of me being like, I'm an individual, and I am choosing to do this as an individual, because like this collective mentality of being like you're either with us or against us is cancerous. It's kind of the way we are with like movies and stuff too. Like we've had people on here before that like I have completely disagreed with on like statements, but it's also
completely
yeah. And like Joseph and I have disagreed on plenty of stuff. Where you choose to spend your money or not is a highly political decision. Not necessarily.
Yeah. Politics have nothing to do with it. I just think people.
That could completely be a capitalistic decision. If someone has a sale, that's not inherently political, and you go to the place that you want to spend your money. Now, sometimes it could be again, there's a difference between the political statements and the social statements. If someone puts out a social statement where they're like, I believe in the freedom to like
David,
murder women or whatever, it's like probably not going to go support that guy anymore. That's not political.
Yeah.
It's completely social.
Gotten so used to viewing things through a political lens that most people can only see people making decisions from a political lens, but there are more motivations to make decisions outside of just politics.
Yeah.
So I think to an extent, to Caravaggio, if I'm pronouncing that right, probably not. To an extent, you're right, but I mean, not completely. I mean, not every decision I make throughout the day is based on a political
It's
decision.
not politically driven.
Well, politics may be involved in every aspect of my life, right? Like with the toilet that I have being, having certain regulations from the food I buy and stuff, but that's not.
But you still
got to
poop.
I go to the store. Yeah, that me pooping isn't a political decision. I hereby dedicate this poop to the Democratic Party.
I think that, and again, this is kind of the broader topic, because like where, who / what you give attention to is a political decision. No, it's not. That's a social decision. I might not give attention to someone.
The director was getting at.
Yeah, listen,
was like, I'm just making a movie, guys.
I do not associate with my co-host for this podcast off of any sort of political. Well, technically, that's how we got the show started, so maybe that's not the best example. But it's
that's not how our friendship started.
Our friendship was not politically motivated. That's an insane way to think about the way that the world works.
Yeah.
Listen, if
people become consumed by politics when that's the idol of their life.
If politics, with movies, with any aspect of your life, if that's the lens in which you see everything through, the question you should be asking is why? Is this a good thing? And if your answer is no, well, how do I remove that in general?
Yeah, because there's a correct way. There is a correct lens to have to view the world. It is certainly is not political.
Yeah.
Any political ideology.
Yeah.
No matter which one it is. Republican, Democrat, Libertarian.
Let's talk about Buffy real quick, and then let's get out of here because it's
quick. It's getting real quick.
Victor,
I gotta wake up the sun to rise.
Yes,
tomorrow, so.
I'll be up before it rises. Victor asked earlier, "Is Buffy a good watch?" I never watched it. It is. Season 1 is a tiny bit tough to get through. The character stuff's good. It starts picking up steam in season 2, and then just gets better as it goes on. It is kind of classic monster of the week for the most part. It's very classic television at this point. The monster of the week stuff, the way that they kind of like, sometimes it's monster of the week, and you'll get little details about what you about different characters and their motivations and different things like that. And then you'll have like very specific episodes that are more like overarching. Joseph, this is a great example of what we were talking about a couple weeks ago, where they the first season's like 12 episodes. It's like your pilot season. It's typically going to be a little bit shorter. And then they have, I'm pretty sure it's like 23, 24 episode seasons for the next 6 seasons. And they came out roughly every year. The show technically got canceled at one point, and then the last 2 seasons got moved to another station, because this is way back when, right? Like Buffy started in 97, I think. So it's a little bit dated. It's very much on a budget, right? Like this is not your Marvel, like whatever. It's definitely dated in some places, but the acting is, the acting gets a lot better as it goes on. And it really is kind of like a cult classic. There's also a spin-off series that was with one of the characters that has a lot of awesome stuff in it. It's just, it's weird to call it classic television at this point.
But it is.
Yeah, but they're trying to reboot it. Chloe Zhao has been tapped to direct, and we'll see if anything happens. I have seen very few people who have been just outright like, this is a great decision. We've talked about the Joss Whedon stuff on here before. He's probably not coming back, and if he's not coming back, the writing's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
Gary, I think it was Gary. It's either Gary or Mahler was talking about how they think that the only reason, like if they brought him back, it would be like an apology tour, which means that the show wouldn't have any bite to it at all. Like it would be really like watered down.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, Joseph, unfortunately, I'm not looking forward to that. Thankfully, there's 7 seasons of Buffy and 5 seasons of the spinoff, which I know the show's really old, but I'm not going to say too much else about it because it is kind of one of those shows that if you get into it, it's worth not knowing anything that happens in it because there's quite a bit of twists and turns. Joss Whedon was, I guess, because he's not really around much anymore. He was excellent about character development, about just the like setup and payoff for stuff, and then unceremoniously just like taking out characters in a way that works versus what we get a lot today where people do it just for shock factor. Like it definitely plays in. to a lot of stuff that happens in the show. It's pretty great. Though there's actually there in the spin-off series, the first season, they kill off a character, and I'm pretty sure it was over like a conflict that actor had. Like I think he was like a jerk, allegedly, right? He was like a jerk or something like that, so they kill him off. But typically that's the way that it works. Like they're pretty great with that. Joseph, I'm tired of the slop.
Yep.
I need a little more originality. And I don't know at this point.
Maybe we'll get it with A24.
Maybe. That's about the only place we get it these days. And then I've been going back to like I've been like looking into getting like a PS2 and like it's like all of that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get like a collection of older movies, and because like, dude, the new stuff, so much of it is just so disappointing.
It really is.
Like, and I'm having television in particular. Like, I have a hard time getting invested in anything with television now, because especially after Arcane. I think Arcane might have done me in, man. I think it broke me a little bit with like trying to get invested in television, because it's just like you don't know any. You
spend so much time, and then once the rug gets pulled underneath you, you can't get that time back.
Yeah, it's just a dice roll at this point, whether you're going to get something that's actually going to be good or not.
And only Trump can save Hollywood.
Oh man. Well, on that bombshell, Joseph, thank you for another great episode of the show. Thank you for the Troll Room for showing up. Typically, we record on Mondays. I'm actually glad that it worked out the way that it did for us to record today, because we were able to catch all the trailers and stuff that we would have had to wait until next Monday to talk about. And now next Monday we can talk about Companion. I'll try to see Love Hurts one way or another as well, and we can talk about it next week. And then yeah, man. I guess that's really it. I don't think I have anything else to say. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And to all of you out there, until next week, y'all take it easy.
See ya.